Right, so we're here with Mark Dawson, currently out in Florida, and also run the Elite Goalkeeper Academy USA. We're going to be speaking to Mark today about his experiences in America. He's been over there now for a good few years. He's studied, he's played, and now he's coaching. But what we're looking to do is give people a little bit of a better insight into kind of like the processes, the challenges, the rewards of going and studying and playing abroad. So just first of all, Mark, could you just give us a bit of a background into how you first got into goalkeeping and kind of your journey through the system in the UK?
Yeah, so obviously, I think probably as soon as I started playing, maybe 6 or 7, I was always a goalkeeper. I was drawn to it, so that's the only position I've ever played. Played youth back home, played for academies. 16, didn't make the grade. Like most people, didn't make it for the YT. So I went to Gateshead College. Spent 3 years there with Paul Bryson and played under him and things. And obviously that was quality. And probably about a year into Gateshead College is when I started looking into the American route, because quite a few other kids, other lads had been, that I was starting to find out more about it. And then that kind of just kicked me on to look at, right, what do I want to do once I've done my A-levels? Do I want to go to university in England? Is there a chance in America to go to university and to keep playing over here? And then that was it. And obviously, luckily for me, it worked out in the end that, I got over here and I'm still here. I came 2011, so nine years later, I'm still here.
So you went out independently to kind of research and look for a company to deal with all the scholarship and everything like that, or was it a case that somebody came into college and presented and you went from there?
So yeah, we had, a couple of companies came into the college. A couple of the lads went through different companies. So we was just taking all that information, doing research online and all that kind of stuff, and finally settling on a company. I didn't go with a company that actually came in to present. I went with a different one, a bigger company, just with being a goalkeeper, obviously a bit more of a specialized position. I felt that I needed to go with more of a bigger company because they had more connections, and I had more chance of success of finding a school. Because it's, if you're on a team, you maybe have three or four goalkeepers, but obviously 20 odd outfield players, so you're a little bit maybe sometimes your options could be limited. So I just wanted to make sure I went with somebody who had as many connections as possible to get me out here.
Yeah. So what was the process like, and what kind of costs were involved on your end?
So from what I remember, I think the cost at the time was maybe about £1,500, I think, around there. Which you can pay off over a payment plan and stuff like that. I think it depends on how proactive and how organized you are. If you start this process when you're 16, 17, obviously you've got more time to pay that off. You could pay it off over 2-3 years before you go to college. Once you settle on that, it was a case of, for me, getting footage together. So, got to start recording a lot of games that you can cut down, recording training sessions, just getting as much footage gathered as possible for coaches to look at. I know some companies do showcases and, you can take the footage from there. But this company was more, record your games, cut them down, record training sessions and go about it that way. So I started doing that. You get your videos together, and then you have a lot of other things, like there's an SAT test, it's called, which is like an exam that kind of scores you in maths, English and writing, which universities over here use to determine like eligibility for financial aid or eligibility for actually playing and things like that. So the better score you get on that, generally the better scholarship you can get, the more options you've got, because if you score lowly, maybe you can only go to a 2-year junior college to begin your degree. You can't go to a 4-year institute and start your undergrad degree straight away. So once you've done that, you start speaking to coaches. You speak to a lot of coaches, back and forward, kind of get a feel for who likes you, who's maybe just like feeling you out a little bit, who's really interested. Then start researching those schools, research the area, like reach out to players on that team and just kind of looking to see if, what your best fit is and what your best option is. And then, of course, you start then have to speak in financially to the schools and determine scholarships and costs and that kind of thing. And then, once you settle on it and you get through all that, your visa appointment, your health insurance, book your flights, and then that's it. Take your suitcase and give it a go.
So, in terms of offers, did you have many? Did you have a kind of couple of tough decisions to make, or was there one that really stood out for you, like from the outset?
No, I had offers. One of the first offers I got wanted me to come over in January. So I was looking, so this is 2011. So I was looking at August 2011. One of the first offers I got was for January 2011. And I was ready to jump all over it, like, get me out of here, get me over there. Luckily, people were like, just slow down, like, see what else comes about. Don't rush into it. So we left that one, and then I got, offers from Texas, offers from up in the Northeast, Connecticut, where spoke to a couple of schools like California. I would probably say about 10 schools overall. There was a school from Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. The coach actually flew over and watched me play for Berkeley Town one game, and we spoke after that, and he watched me and things. So a couple of them were in some big conversations, and then at the time Norfolk University, which is now Kaiser, which is where I currently coach as well, they then came in, and really once that one came in, that was it. They went to the top of the list. Purely just location, Southeast Florida. That just kind of trumped everybody else. And once I started speaking to them, they had a couple of lads from the area, a lad from Chesley Street, a lad from Spennymoor was the assistant coach. So I spoke to them a little bit, and then at that point, that was the school I became fixed on, and that's where I ended up going. But if I hadn't waited and stuff, because they came quite late in the day, so if I hadn't waited around, I could have ended up somewhere else. And I don't know, if I'd ended up in the Northeast or somewhere in the middle of America, I don't know if I would still be here 9 years later, living in where I am. It's a great lifestyle, and definitely played a major part in me still being here today, picking the right school and, and giving it time and really researching all my options. So it paid off.
Brilliant. So obviously you get over there, first couple of weeks, new environment, new country, everything. So how did you find that settling in?
I would say good, but also brutal. Like, leaving everything, leaving your mates, packing everything up, leaving your family, jumping on a plane to a place you've never been before, to people you've never met before. Like, you can, you're on your own, but at the same time, you're also thrown in an environment with 25, 30 other lads that are all either being in the same position as you at one point or are in the same position, So in those first couple of weeks, they're intense because, pre-season over here, they don't take it lightly. It's like 3 times a day. It's train, eat, sleep, train, eat, sleep, train, eat, sleep. And it's 2 weeks. It's intense. But, once you make it through that, and then school starts and season starts and you start to get your bearings and you get in a rhythm, and that just, becomes your new way of life. I think the first few weeks, they're exciting. It's cool. You're in a new place, but it's also, it can be daunting. And, there's been plenty of people that have came and maybe lasted, a semester or a couple of weeks or a year and haven't came back. So, it's maybe not for everybody, but you've just got to put your head down and embrace it, and, you'll get out of it what you put into it, So you have to accept that you're not at home anymore. Like, I used to think, I'm missing out on this and that. I see my mates doing this or going on holiday and doing this. I'm like, and I'm here. But then at the same time, like, I'm in America playing football. Like, so, you got to balance it and kind of switch your mindset. And once you get through that, I absolutely loved it. If I could go back and still be playing and stuff over here, then, 100%, I would do it all over again. Definitely.
Brilliant. So obviously you mentioned the pre-season, getting kind of like stuck into the football over there. And like, what was the standard like? And did you notice any major differences between the US and the UK?
I think I think the standard, it can vary. It can go up and down depending on whereabouts you are in the country, depending on what conference you're in. The standard for me, I found very high. I think one of our first games, we travelled down the road and played Lynn University, and they had a bunch of graduate students from like Germany and England, and like these guys were 25, 26, and they just looked huge to me. They were athletes and they were great players, and that was a quick wake-up call. I think we got beat like 4-0 that game, and it was like, whoa, like this is a good standard. So no, I think for us, because it's a very European environment, there's a lot of players from Scandinavian region on my team, a lot of English lads. Within these leagues, there's a lot of Germans and other lads from Europe and South America. The standard's very high. It's very athletic. If there's one thing that Americans are, I would say generally they're very athletic. And then all of a sudden you're chucked into this environment where you're playing with lads from 10 different countries, and it's good. Standard was good. The level was good. The intensity, everything. It's as close as what you could get to a pro environment. Training every day, playing. Obviously, it's an intense season. The season's only 4 months long. So once you start in August, you blink and it's December and the season's gone. But it's intense. The standard's good. You train every day. You have everything you need: gym, physios, like all that kind of stuff. Ice baths. I never took one. I hate them. But if you want them, they're there. Like all that kind of stuff. It is as close as you can get really to pro, and it was good. Fully enjoyed it.
So obviously, great facilities. You've got everything that basically you need there to succeed.
Yeah, 100%. They put everything there that you could want to succeed, definitely. And there's been plenty of lads at all levels across America that have gone on to turn pro, to play in different leagues throughout Europe, throughout South America, different leagues in America as well. Like there's been a lot of lads have gone through that path of college into the pro. I think that kind of depends on where you see yourself going as well. Like my intention was come here, get a degree, play, and that was it. I knew I had 4 years and I was going to fully enjoy it. Some lads maybe come out the system at 18, 19 where they've had a taste of pro football instead of like YT football, and they come over here and they go to school and they kick on from that and they get into like the MLS draft, or they go play Division 2 over here, and then work through that. And it's, for some people, it's another pathway to the pro, and then for others it's a great way just to come and play high competitive football for 4 years and get a degree out of it. Best of both worlds.
So you obviously spoke about your degree there. What was it that you decided to go out and study? How did your education system in comparison to the UK?
Yeah, so I ended up doing advertising marketing for my undergrad, Bachelor of Business Administration and Advertising Marketing. I think the main difference is obviously here, every degree is generally a 4-year degree. I think in England you do 3 years normally at university. Over here it's 4 years. You get 4 years of eligibility to play. You get 4 years to do your degree. I think from listening to my mates back home with all their dissertations and this and that, very different over here. You would take like a variety of classes. Obviously it's split into semesters. You have the fall semester, the spring semester. Your first 2 years you do a lot of core classes, which for me was English, statistics, algebra. There was what else was in there? Economics. There's a full variety. Then the last 2 years is when you focus on like your advertising, your marketing, your digital stuff, or whatever is really involved within your specific major. Is how it works over here.
Right, so obviously a little bit different where you jump from one thing to the other first couple of years, so it's not as specific. Is it more intense in your last 2 years?
No, I mean, I don't think so, because you split it up over 4 years, you maybe do 5 classes per semester. You're talking 15 hours a week, maybe in the classroom. So I don't think so. I think obviously, they always say over here, when you come over, you're a student athlete. That's the term. And they say, obviously, you're a student first and then you're an athlete. So you have to manage both. I mean, if you don't get your grades, like if you drop below a C average, you're no longer eligible to play. So if you don't have minimum C's across the board, you lose your eligibility. You can't play games until you get your grades back up, but you'll lose a season for that. So you'll end up only being able to play 3 seasons instead of 4. So you have to just make sure that you focus on your schoolwork as much as your football. Otherwise, you'll lose your football if you don't stick in on the other side of it.
Brilliant. And it was more of in terms of how you graded, is it more exam based, or did it go down like the dissertation route the same as in the UK?
It varies more by whatever lecturer you have, whatever professor you have, whatever kind of they decide. There's a lot of tests, not really any major like dissertations, to be honest. Like, yeah, you might have to write a 10-page paper, but you're not talking about producing like a 50-page whatever people do for the dissertations, because you have 5 classes at once. So yeah, some will be exams, some will be dissertations, some you'll just generally build your grade throughout the semester. You might do 5 small tests and they all go together for your final grade, that kind of stuff. So it varies. There's a bit of everything.
Good. And kind of when you were over there studying and playing, what kind of challenges did you face? And was there ever a moment or a specific time when you turned around and you went, I want to go home?
I think it varies for everybody. I picked up a couple of injuries at times. So, if you're injured and you're not playing, that can affect you sometimes. If you lose being able to be on the field every day and maybe you don't feel as part of the team during that period, that can happen. But on my personal level, I didn't struggle too much. Like I say, you've just got to kind of embrace it. And the more you embrace it and the more you go with it, the better you'll do. I've seen people, and now obviously being on the coaching side of things as well, I see people come and go who just maybe can't let back home go. To be honest, like as bad as it sounds, when I moved here, like, yeah, I'll speak to my mates, but it became a little bit less and a little bit less and a little bit less, because you fall in, you have a new way of life, your 5-hour time difference, maybe like I don't finish till 5 o'clock, get off the field, but it's 10 o'clock back home, and like you can't be worried about what your mates are doing back home. Like, you have to kind of switch your focus. And, I think I did that well, and that's like really helped me. And yeah, I'd say probably like the first 2 years, I book flights for Christmas and it's like, I'm going home for Christmas, December the 13th. I'm not coming back until like January the 20th. I'm taking 5-6 weeks off and then I'll be back. And as time went on, after the first year, after the second year, that time back home became less and less, to the point where it was like, I'm coming home for 2 weeks and then I'm getting back over here. And once you're settled and once that's your new way of life, that's how it becomes. So it just depends how you embrace it, like, yeah, those days where you're like, wonder what my mates are doing, or I kind of wish I was going to the pub, like, or just, stuff you used to do. But the more you keep your head down in your work and you get fully immersed into it, you'll be fine.
Brilliant. And obviously on the flip side, what are the highlights of your time out there, obviously studying and playing football?
Yeah, obviously all of that, but like I say, I mean, I got lucky living in West Palm Beach. It's like growing up, you got to go to Spain for 10 days for your holiday once a year, and like that became pretty much like my full-time life over here, like surrounded by palm trees in the heat, all year round. It's just a great place to live. Like I think freshman year, which is your first year here, like massive thing, like WrestleMania came to Miami, and there was like 10 of us. We went down to Miami, we got tickets for it, and we watched WrestleMania. Like, that was just a highlight of like bringing your childhood back, and going to football games, basketball games, watching like LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, when Miami were really good a few years back, going to see them play. You know, going different places. You know, you get to travel when you're playing. You travel, you know, through different states. You know, I've been lucky enough to go to New York, Vegas, like different places, Cancun. You know, traveling once you're over here and stuff, and making the most of that as well. It's pretty hard to kind of just put one thing down. There's just so many different experiences, you know, that you can do. At the same time, obviously, you look back in terms of growing up back home, everybody, like all my mates, you know, weekends in Amsterdam, Prague, you know, like going away on lads' holidays. You know, I only did one of those before I moved here. But on the flip side, I got to do everything else. So again, it's like realizing what you want kind of, and what your balance is. Like, yeah, you miss out on this, but you're doing this. So the more you switch your mindset and you can see that again, then the more you'll enjoy your time. Because most people only get 4 years here, possibly 5, and then, you know, that's it. And you move on with your life. So it flies by. Like my 4 years here, like literally through the blink of an eye, it was gone. So yeah.
So obviously 5 years ago now that you graduated, nearly 6.
Yeah, 2015, so 5 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, so kind of after you graduated, what opportunities presented themselves to you for you to make that decision to make a life in Florida?
So when you graduate over here, generally as a student, you get a 5-year visa, and obviously the degree takes 4 years. Once you graduate, there's a thing called OPT, which is optional practical training. You're entitled to that. So once you graduate, if you want to, you can apply for that, and you're entitled to stay in America and work for a year. So if you want to stay and you say, I fancy another year and earn some money, you have that right, and you know, you just apply for it, you get it, and you can extend your stay by a year. So, you know, I did that. I got a job downtown, worked for an advertising marketing agency, which is obviously what my degree was in. Did that for a year. I loved it. And then you get to that crossroads where, you know, once your OPT's up, that's your visa's done. So then what's your options? You know, at that point, most people go back to where they've came from. They go back home, or you can go do a master's degree and get another student visa and go back to school and work that way, kind of thing. It just becomes a bit more complicated. So my boss at the time, she offered to pay for my master's degree and my attitude at the time was, nah, like, I'm done with school. I'm earning money. I don't want to go back to school. Thanks, but no thanks. So I ended up, obviously, I moved home for, I think, 9 months. So about graduated 2015. So about September 2016, I moved back home. I got a job again in marketing in Manchester. I moved to Manchester. I came back to West Palm in March for spring break for a vacation. And then was lucky enough to get offered the chance to then do my master's degree and have it paid for by the university in order for me to coach on the women's side. And that was, you know, I was lucky that I got that opportunity. The coach there from Sheffield, he played a role in recruiting me 5 years earlier. And he said, look, if you want to get out of England, you want to come back, this is an opportunity for you. You can do it. It's up to you. And, you know, I absolutely snapped his arm off, and I went back to Manchester, handed in my my resignation, and said, yeah, I'll give you 60 days of my 90 days and I'm off again. So I did that, and obviously I was lucky enough and I got back here, and that was my route into coaching as well, because at that point I was 2 years to work in advertising. That was what my degree was in. That's what I thought I wanted to do. And I enjoyed it, but at the same time, sitting behind a desk wasn't necessarily everything that, you know, I thought I wanted. And I got that opportunity, luckily, and, you know, I got back here in June 2017, like 9 months later, and just picked up where I left off. And, you know, I went back and started working on my MBA and started coaching in the women's team at the university.
Obviously, it's still there now. Still going really well as well, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So into fourth season now with them. I finished my MBA back in May because I added another year because I did a concentration management. So we're into our fourth season now. Going really well. You know, we won the national championship last year. We've played the conference season this year because of COVID. It's split, so the national championship isn't until April. So we come back in January and we start working towards the national championship and hopefully defending that and winning that again. So yeah,
brilliant. And obviously you came out what 2017 3 year. Is that another case of you doing 5 year? Have you got an extra year, or is it now a case that you're essentially like a US citizen now? And that I know.
Nah, so
that your is that your ticket into the States as well to stay as a permanent resident, or was that already sorted?
No, so I came back again on a student visa. I applied, got another 5-year visa. So obviously did my MBA for 3 years. So now I'm on my OPT again. So you get another OPT. So I'm working on that. But obviously, like you said, you know, we're due to get married in August of next year, which means then I would switch over now to the green card process. And once you do that, the green card is generally then, I think it's for 10 years and you can renew it every 10 years or whatever. But once I think either 3 or 4 years on that, you can then apply to get your American citizenship. And then you don't have to worry about immigration, like processes and that anymore. Then that would be the done deal at that point.
Brilliant. Last thing, mate. If you were to give any advice to anybody kind of considering it, or maybe somebody who's a little bit undecided on the route that they want to take in terms of university or going into like full-time work, or potentially looking at a career in football, what would you say in terms of taking that jump and going out to America?
Well, I would say, I mean, look, if you do take the jump and you fully embrace it, it'll be 100% the best thing you've ever done. You know, if you're going to do that, then go 2 feet in. Don't kind of get stuck 50-50, and you know, you've got to fully embrace everything about it to make the most of it. You know, it depends on what exactly you value the highest. You know, in terms of, do you want, like for me, you know, I knew it, you know, probably 16, 17. Like if I am got any sort of chance of playing pro, it's going to be very low leagues and that kind of stuff. Personally, I already made my mind up at 16. Like, I'm going to get my degree, and I'm going to go with that. So, you know, I made that up, and that was easy for me, that decision. So I'd say if you do make the decision and you go to America and you want to go down this route, good. Do your research. I think location's massive. America's huge. There's so many different types of cities everywhere. You know, it's huge. Make sure you look at where you're going. Just because a university has amazing facilities, or maybe they're a big D1 university with 50,000 students and like a locker room of 20 plasma screens and this and that, they could also be in the middle of nowhere. You know, they could be in a town where all there is the university, and there's nothing else there. And that is often like the main cause of people coming home, is the location. You don't realize, you know, if you're in the Midwest, it's very much like, you know, it's fields. There ain't too much out there in places. So research everything, research the university, research the location, research the coach, the players, just gather as much information as you can. And then, you know, I tell people when we recruit them for Kaiser and stuff as well, you might have an offer for somewhere here, might cost you or your parents maybe 2,000-3,000 extra. Look, if they can afford that over the course of a year, really weigh it up, because you want to live in an area, you know, in West Palm Beach, or do you want to go live in Kentucky? Like, you have to think about everything and make sure you find the right fit. If you find the right fit, then it's easy. If you go somewhere you're not too sure on and it's not quite right, you'll find it a lot harder to stick it out for all 4 years. So yeah, research, take your time, look at everything, and then if you do it, just fully embrace it, every opportunity you get.
That's fantastic, mate. Obviously, really appreciate your time. I'm sure that's been a great insight for people watching as well. And obviously, it looks like a fantastic opportunity as well. Obviously, I had an opportunity when I was younger to go out for 6 months, and I coached in Seattle. That was outstanding. But obviously, getting the opportunity to go out there, you know, in your 9th year, going into your 10th, to do something obviously that you love doing in coaching, to get an education, and also have that opportunity to play at a very high standard. Obviously, it's something that a lot of people will be considering. So yeah, it's fantastic, mate. Thank you.
No problem. No, it is definitely, if you get the opportunity to do it, like you say, I think if you've been to America like you've done as well and coach and stuff, it's a little bit of a different level over here sometimes. The facilities and everything, it's huge. It's really, really good opportunity.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. Thank you. And obviously we'll be putting this up on the YouTube channel, so we'll obviously, as I say, it'll be a huge help to people. So thank you.
Perfect.